Hello friends, this video on improvement in food resources part 1 is brought to you by examfear.com. No more fear from exam. Topics to be covered in this lesson are improvement in crop yields, crop variety improvement, crop production improvement, wherein we'll talk about nutrition management, nutrient management, manures and fertilizers, irrigation and cropping patterns, crop protection management, animal husbandry, which would include cattle farming, poultry farming, egg and broiler production, fish production, and beekeeping. So what do you think are we going to study in improvement in food resources? Right? Quite a simple name, very easy to guess what is the content of the lesson, right? So we are going to talk about food resources. What strikes your mind when you think of food? Right? These are the things which we eat. Maybe since all of us live in different parts of the world, so all of us have different food habits. Some of us eat maybe rice, vegetables, more of curries. Many of us are even non-vegetarian, so we even consume fish, egg, chicken, meat, and things like that. So we have a variety of food which we actually consume. So when we think of those food, what all comes to our mind? Maybe things like bread, rice, variety of vegetables, a variety of fruits, right? All these are the things which we actually eat. Now, from where do these things come from? We obviously get them from our nearby shops or vegetable markets, but where are they actually grown? They are actually grown in some field where people are involved in agriculture, the farmers are growing crops, right? And from there we are actually getting these food materials. So maybe many of us are not much bothered about from where it is actually coming. We are only the consumers, right? But being the consumers who are dependent on these different food materials, we should be concerned about the origin of these food materials. So from where are these crops being produced, right? So when we think of the crops which are produced in the fields, what all comes to our mind? Things like wheat, rice, maize, they are all produced in the fields. So many vegetables which we see, they are also grown in fields, right? So if people stop growing these vegetables, if they stop growing fruit, if they stop growing the crops, we will not get anything to eat, right? So in this lesson, what we will be trying to know is how can we improve the food resources? That means how can we improve the way in which the crops are cultivated so that we get the best quality food, so that we get best quantity of food. Now, why are we studying this lesson? That is the agenda of the next slide. That why do we need to improve crop yields? What is crop yield? That means the amount of crop which is getting produced. So why do we want that we need to improve the crop yield? That is the agenda of this lesson. That how do we improve the food resources? How do we improve the production of crops? How do we improve the quality of crops? So that is the agenda. So why do we even need to improve? Anyways, there are people who are involved in agriculture. They are growing crops, they are growing vegetables, fruits, and whatever we need, we are getting them and we are surviving. So what is the need? So the first and the foremost need is the growing population. So now as the population is increasing, the demands of the people are also increasing. For example, if there is a family where you have maybe 2 members, a person and his wife, right? So now whatever the person is earning, he has to feed himself and his wife, correct? Now let us suppose he got kids. So he has 1 kid now. So his family, the number of family members increased from 2 to 3. Now suppose he got one more kid, so his family increased from 3 to 4. So now if you see, as the family keeps increasing, the amount of food that is needed for their survival, that also increases. So as the population increases, the need of food also increases. So at one pace the population is increasing, so at the other pace the crop yield should also increase. That means the amount of crop that is being produced should also increase. Otherwise, it will not be able to meet the demands of the growing population. Right? So that is one important reason why we need to improve our crop yields. Right? Now, another thing is, now you might think that, okay, fine, if we want to increase the crop production, let us put more land under cultivation. Because as you see, not all the lands which we see around us are used for agriculture, right? Some of them are used for industrial purposes, some of them are used for residential purposes, some of them are used for building roads, infrastructure, malls, buildings, and things like that. So a certain portion of the land is used for agricultural purpose. So now suppose you might think that, okay, then what we can do is we can put more land for agriculture. Now there also in India we have less scope. That's because in India already intensive cultivation is done. That means already a good portion of land is being involved in agriculture. So now we cannot put the entire land on agriculture, right? Because there are other stuffs also for which we need land. So we cannot put the whole amount of land only for agriculture. Correct? So the first thing is that the population is increasing even now. So India is a very populous country, right? So the population is continuously increasing. So and also we do not have the scope of increasing the cultivation area. So that means the area is remaining almost fixed, but the number of people are increasing. So that means in that same area we need to increase the production of crops. So how do we do that? So that is the main objective of this lesson, that how do we increase the crop production, or how do we increase the crop yield in that much area of land without increasing the area of land. What are the different ways by which we can improve our crop productivity? Now again, there are many techniques, there are many technologies, and many different things have come up which can improve the crop yield. But again, we see that in most of those cases they affect the environment. That means by using those techniques, the crop production definitely increases, but at the same time, it pollutes the environment. So that means in one way it is advantageous, but at the other way, it is doing something bad to the environment. Now, if the environment is getting polluted, again, it is affecting us only, right? So now we have to strike a balance between the two. We have to imply some techniques which can increase the crop yield. At the same time, we have to take care of the fact that it should not harm our environment to a large extent. So we have to make a balance between the two. So now we will see what are the different ways which we can actually implement in order to improve the crop yield. Right? So I hope it is clear that why do we need to improve the crop yield. Now, does that mean that improving the crop yields alone will solve the problem of malnutrition? Now, before that, what is malnutrition? Maybe all of you are not aware of the term. Malnutrition means somebody who is deprived of proper nutrition. For example, at every age, we need certain amount of nutrition to live healthy. Right? But there are a lot of people who do not get enough healthy food, and that is why they suffer from malnutrition. That means they suffer from deficiency of nutrition, which leads to many different kind of diseases. Now, mostly malnutrition is seen in children who do not get proper food, and therefore they get many diseases. Right? So now in India, we have this problem of malnutrition and hunger. There are a lot of people who are below the poverty line, right? And they suffer, they do not get proper food. So do you think that by improving the crop yield, that means by applying some techniques, what all techniques that we will study in our coming slides. But do you think that just by improving the crop production, that means just by producing a lot of crops, good quality crops, will that solve the problem of malnutrition? Well, that alone is not going to solve this problem. So improved crop yields alone cannot solve the persisting problem of malnutrition and hunger. So this alone cannot solve. Why? That's because, let us suppose we have improved the crop yields. So a lot of crops are being produced. So many fruits, vegetables, cereals, everything is there, right? But how do you get, or how do each of us get these things? In order to get these things, we need money, right? When you go to a shop to buy something, say 1 kg apple, the shopkeeper is not going to give it to you for free. You need to pay him, right? So you need to have money. So that means good economic condition has to be there to ensure affordability. So now by improving the crop yield, what we are doing, we are making the food resources available in the market. But in order to afford those food materials, one should have money. So good economic condition is necessary to ensure that the food materials which are being produced are affordable to each of us, right? Now, how do we ensure good economic condition? Better income to those involved in agriculture. Now, as far as India is concerned, a good amount of our population is involved in agriculture. As I said, since a good amount of land is also given for agriculture, similarly, you have a lot of farmers, right? So whenever you go to a village, you will see so many farmers are there, right? So a huge a good portion of our population is dependent on agriculture, and that is their earning, that is how they earn. Now it is seen that the pay which they get by doing work in agriculture is very less. Now when you get less, when you earn less, you cannot afford to buy very expensive vegetables, correct? So what will happen? So even though there are lots of vegetables, there are lots of fruits in the market, but you do not have enough money to buy them. So they are not affordable to you. And as a result, the problem of malnutrition and hunger will still persist. So in order to solve the problem of malnutrition and hunger, two things need to be taken care of. One is improved crop yield so that food resources are available in the market. And the second is good economic condition. People should have enough money, and for that, people should get decent salary or decent earning in whatever they do. But in India, we see that there is a lot of differentiation in the as far as wages are concerned, right? As I mentioned before also, that there are so many people who are below the poverty line. Not only that, there are so many people who are involved in agriculture or these kind of work, the workers who work in mines or agriculture or construction buildings, so they get very less wages per day. So now when you earn very less, many things become unaffordable to you. So these are the two things that need to be taken care of to solve the problem of malnutrition and hunger in India. One is improved crop yield, next is good economic conditions. Thank you. Please visit www.examfear.com to watch more videos, attempt free online test, get free study material, find tutors and mentors. Thank you once again.